You are not here by coincidence. You were called. And the moment is now. July 2025 isn't just another date on the calendar. It's a crossroads, a spiritual milestone, a quiet but powerful pivot in time. Everything that has unfolded in your life, every challenge, every heartbreak, every unanswered question was not random. It brought you here. It molded you, shaped you, prepared you for something more. This isn't about fear or fantasy. It's about awareness. You felt it rising, the quiet pressure, the inner tension, the subtle insistence that something must evolve. That sensation isn't just a passing thought. It's real. It's the voice within, your soul's compass, trying to shake you gently awake before the window closes. You weren't meant to blend in with the masses. You weren't built for endless noise, for constant overstimulation, or the relentless pursuit of shallow comforts. You've been dismantled, tested, broken open and pieced back together again for a singular purpose, to awaken. That moment is now, this stirring within you. It's not a warning from outside forces. It's a sacred reminder. It's your inner alarm sounding off. And you have a choice, rise with it or retreat from it. But either way, one truth remains. Something must shift. And if you're honest with yourself, deep down, you already know that something has begun to shift. July 2025 doesn't signal the end of the world. But it must be the end of the outdated version of you, the fragile one, the hesitant one, the one who still chooses safety over purpose. That version can't come with you anymore. The world doesn't need a diluted version of who you are. It's waiting for the full, unfiltered truth of your being. Not next year, not someday, now. And you feel this. That's why you're still reading, still breathing this in, still connected to these words. That fire you feel in your chest, it's not anxiety, it's truth. This moment is the signal, and you are the response. There's no more time to make excuses or wait for the perfect set of circumstances. This right here, this is your invitation. And everything you've needed, you've already been carrying inside you, not in some distant place, but deep within your own spirit. Strength, awareness, focus, stillness. These weren't things you learned. They were gifts placed inside you before you even knew how to ask for them. And your life? Every heartbreak, every delay, every dark night spent wondering why me, was nurturing those very gifts, preparing you, so that when July 2025 arrived, you'd remember what's always been true, that you were never lost, just learning how to return. This world, with all its flashing lights and noise, has trained people to forget themselves. It's taught survival, not presence. But you weren't made to just make it through. You were created to rise, to see clearly, to live with deep truth. That requires courage. And this time in your life, this is the line in the sand. For those bold enough to choose truth. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfectly ready. You just need to choose. Choose truth over illusion. Choose presence over chaos. Choose real strength over habitual avoidance. You're not being asked to reinvent yourself. You're being called to return to who you truly are, beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the roles you've worn like armor. That quiet voice inside, the one that whispers, "Not yet," isn't telling the truth. Something unlocks in July, not outside of you, but within. A doorway appears, but only those with courage in their hearts will walk through it. And when you do, you'll never be quite the same. Not because the world outside changes immediately, but because your lens, your presence, your truth changes. And once that happens, the world reflects it back. You are here right now because you are meant to be. That isn't an accident. Don't dismiss this moment. Don't write this off as just another message in a sea of noise. It's not. It's your reminder that time is a gift, not a guarantee. That comfort can be a form of self-betrayal. That waiting, in many cases, is simply a softer word for hiding. You've been led to believe you have more time than you do, that someone else will carry the torch. But they won't. This torch has always been yours to bear. This message isn't designed to frighten, it's meant to awaken. To stir that part of you that already knows this is your moment. You are still standing because you were meant to rise. You endured the pain so you could gain vision. You were broken down so your ego could fall and your soul could ascend. July 2025 isn't about stillness anymore. It's about motion, movement, revelation. It's about bringing the deepest parts of you to the surface. Yes, you may feel resistance. That's to be expected. Yes, fear may arise. That's part of the path. But you still move, you still act, you still speak. Because that's what those who are chosen do. Not because they are perfect, but because they've stopped waiting to become perfect. They walk forward with what they have, trust what they know, and refuse to hide. Let July 2025 be the turning point. The day you stop performing. The day you stop lying to yourself. The day you stop saying maybe later. Let this be the moment you lay down the outdated version of yourself and finally make room for the version the world desperately needs. Not eventually, now, right now. Most people walk through life believing what they see is all that exists. They react to stress, to media, to opinions, to fear. They chase things that vanish. They build identities around appearances, around fleeting metrics, around illusions. But that's not your story. That's why these words reached you. Because the veil is thinning, the illusions are dissolving. The world you've known isn't the full story, it's a filtered narrative shaped by fear, culture, and inherited beliefs. What you've been told to value, to chase, to prioritize, none of it defines your true self. You are not your resume, you are not your trauma, you are not your image. These are layers, temporary identities. The real you emerges when your mind becomes still. When you stop categorizing everything. When you stop defending your assumptions. When you stop running from discomfort. That's when the truth begins to reveal itself. That's when you see just how deeply asleep many people are. Addicted to validation. Enslaved by distraction. The authentic world begins where the artificial one ends. That's what this moment signifies. Not a global eruption, but an internal eruption. A split in the illusion. A call to drop the roles, to stop performing. Yes, the world appears chaotic, but that's not accidental. That's the illusion collapsing. It's breaking down because it can't sustain itself. And in the rubble, a decision emerges. Continue pretending or finally open your eyes. You don't need to manufacture a new reality. You simply need to recognize the one that's always been waiting beneath the noise. You don't need to chase it. You only need to stop suffocating it. Stop numbing it with constant distractions, repetitive thoughts, and unchecked emotional reactions. When you slow down, when you watch your thoughts without feeding them, that's when the fog lifts. That's when you start seeing the truth. You've been taught that success is a score, that joy is something external, that love is a transaction, that approval equals safety, but none of those ideas are rooted in truth. These were planted to keep you asleep, to keep you manageable. The truth, it's quieter, it's patient, it doesn't demand, it waits. It waits for the day you've had enough of the fragments. The day you tire of chasing things that leave you empty. That moment, that weariness is now. The world you've accepted has been built on fear, urgency, competition. That's why people feel so disconnected. That's why peace is elusive. They are trying to satisfy soul-deep hunger with fast, shallow nourishment. They seek calm in temporary highs and panic when it disappears. But the real world, the one that sustains, already exists. It just asks something from you. Stillness, courage, truth. It asks you to look inside and not look away, to acknowledge what you've denied. To stop blaming, stop numbing, and finally begin living. Not for display, not for approval, but for what is eternal and true. This isn't the easiest path, but for those chosen, it's the only one that makes sense. July 2025 isn't about headlines, it's about vision. The moment you stop reacting and start becoming the observer. The moment you leave behind the ego and return to real presence. That is the shift. And it's here, waiting. If you are willing to surrender the labels, the self-doubt, the fear that keeps dictating your decisions. Then something sacred opens up. If you let go of the story that says you must earn your worth, then truth begins to flow. These stories, these masks, they blind you. Remove them and what remains is clarity, spaciousness, peace. Not the kind dependent on anything or anyone, but the kind that lives inside you, untouched. This isn't about theory. It's about embodiment. You either live from fear or live from truth. You either hide or you rise. There is no in-between. The date is a marker, a symbolic doorway. Step through, and nothing remains the same. You walk slower. You speak with intent. You listen with your entire being. You live with honesty. That's how you know you have crossed into the real. And once you do, there's no return. You'll never again be satisfied by the surface. You won't crave escape. You won't need to chase. You'll finally just be whole, real, present, and in that sacred stillness, you'll remember what was never truly lost. Yourself. Never could it be said that anything in your life was truly wasted. Not the betrayal, not the emptiness, not even the moments that felt like failure. Every time life brought you to your knees, something more resilient took root inside you, clarity, inner strength, deeper understanding. These aren't born from ease. They are carved through hardship, through the unseen battles, the silent struggles, the moments you couldn't see a way forward but still pressed on. July 2025 isn't about destiny or dread. It's a return, an invitation to remember the truth of who you've always been and to finally recognize that every ounce of your pain carried purpose. Not because it was comfortable, but because it stripped away the illusions. It burned off what was false. It reminded you that control was never total. It brought humility. It showed you who truly stood beside you. No small feat. It showed you who truly stood beside you. It forced you to slow down, to stop performing, to drop the act. You weren't being punished, you were being forged. Every scar isn't just a story, it's strength in disguise. The fact that you're still standing means you carry something sacred. Not everyone makes it through the dark nights, but you did. And you didn't just endure, you changed. You noticed what others missed, Pain sharpened your perception to see what most ignore. It taught you to cherish the quiet, to value what lasts, to choose depth over distraction. You no longer respond the way you once did. You don't chase after what's fleeting anymore. Your transformation wasn't loud. It happened slowly, almost invisibly, but deeply, profoundly. July is not just a calendar page. It's a reflection. It calls you to pause, not to escape what broke you, but to understand it. Real evolution doesn't happen without fire. Wisdom is born from collapse. What you endured taught you lessons no textbook ever could. It shaped your patience. It taught you to hold on, to continue even when no one was clapping, especially then. That's when your true power revealed itself. The world often teaches us to run from discomfort, to silence it, deny it, or cover it up. But the ones who are truly called are not crushed by pain. They're carved by it. You've never been about being fearless. It's about rising with fear still in your chest. It's about walking through storms and refusing to let them harden your spirit. That's what you've done. You've made it through tempers no one even knew you were in. That's not weakness. That's mastery. There were days you questioned it all. You told yourself you had no reason to keep going. You doubted everything, and that too was necessary. The breaking had to happen so the surface could shatter and the truth underneath could emerge. The version of you who second-guessed everything had to be emptied. Because the real you, the grounded one, was waiting beneath. Now's the time to stop hiding behind the narratives you've outgrown. It's time to stop carrying your pain like a burden and instead wield it like a blade. Let it remind you what you've survived. Let it fuel your self-discipline. Let it anchor you in truth. July 2025 marks a shift. Not the moment you asked, "Why me?" but the moment you declared, "It happened for me," not to excuse it, not to erase it, but to rise above it. To stop leaking energy over wounds that are already closed. You're no longer a hostage of your past. You are the outcome of your choices. Your strength wasn't passed down. It was built, moment by moment, in the fires that once tried to consume you. Now, you hold a kind of wisdom others simply don't. Not because they are lacking, but because they haven't lived what you've lived. You felt the weight of isolation. You've stared into the void. You've survived the days where a smile masked 1,000 aches. That kind of insight can't be bought. It deepens your presence. It makes your words hit different. When you speak now, people lean in, not because you're louder, but because your voice is laced with truth. This pain wasn't meaningless. But the next step is yours. Choose what this pain becomes. Let it become discernment. Let it influence the way you move, speak, love, lead. The world isn't in need of polished people. It needs real ones. People who've known darkness and still choose to bring light. That's who you are now. You're chosen not because of your wounds, but because you didn't let them turn you bitter. You used them to open your eyes. The time for delay is over. The pain that refined you is now demanding motion. Speak from the truth you've earned. Walk with intention. Stop apologizing for your history. It molded you. Let July 2025 be the moment you stop looking back in grief and start walking forward in purpose. You must liberate yourself from the inner restraints. They're not made of metal, but they're heavy. They take hold each time you hesitate, each time you believe that low whisper saying, "You're not enough." These mental chains are composed of outdated thoughts, old, familiar, unchallenged. They tell you to dim your light, to wait, to second guess. But you've waited long enough. Now it's time to see things for what they are. Recognize that it was never the world that restrained you, it was your own thoughts. Since childhood you were taught who to be, what to fear, what to achieve to feel worthy. And you followed that script not because you were weak, but because it's all you knew. But the time to unlearn has arrived. Not in the future, not gradually, now. Because July 2025 isn't some distant idea. It's a sharp shift. It's the break between illusion and clarity. The cage was always mental. Thoughts aren't facts. Emotions aren't mandates. You've spent too long responding to both as if they defined you. That ends now. You are not your fear. You are not your habits. You are not the noise in your mind. You are the awareness observing all of it. And that awareness is already free the moment it refuses to identify with the chaos. The mind is loud. It begs you to stay comfortable. It says, don't risk, don't change, don't rise. But ask yourself, how many doors have you missed because of that voice? How many truths went unsaid? How many chances did you pass up because comfort seemed safer? That voice isn't your guide. It's your wall. And it dreads your awakening. Breaking these mental chains requires rebellion. Do the opposite of what fear demands. Be still when your mind begs for distraction. Move forward when it screams for delay. Act even when you doubt. This is the path of the chosen. They don't wait for their thoughts to give permission. They lead despite the noise. Self-discipline isn't just useful, it's essential. Without it, the mind controls you with it. You control the mind. July 2025 is a crossroads. You can loop the old stories or you can write a new one. You can draw the line in the sand and say, from here on, I won't be ruled by thoughts. I will be led by truth. That's when the real transformation begins. Not later. Not when you feel ready. Now. Freedom isn't the absence of boundaries. It's the presence of clarity. It's the power to choose your response. It's the courage to delay instant gratification in favor of lasting growth. You already have this within you, but like anything sacred, it must be cultivated. Every day, with presence, with commitment, with repetition. Start noticing the loop inside your head. It always says the same things. You're late. You'll fail. You're not worthy. It's predictable, but it's not true. And the moment you stop feeding it, it starts to fade. When you stop giving it your belief, it begins to unravel. And that's what this turning point is truly about. Releasing what doesn't belong. Taking back what was always yours. Your attention, your energy, your focus. This is the actual battle. Not out there, but within. Between your deeper awareness and the surface noise. Between who you truly are and who your thoughts pretend you are. Every time you train your focus, it's a win. Every time you stop an old habit from running the show, it's freedom. The chosen don't avoid fear. They walk alongside it. They don't wait for doubt to disappear, they move with it. That is what liberation looks like. Let July 2025 be your declaration, not to others but to yourself. That the inner chains are broken, that the noise is no longer your master, that your steps are now guided by stillness, not panic. You're no longer repeating history, you're creating it. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering the strength you always had, long before the world tried to make you forget. All the noise began. And once you remember, you don't forget. You observe the thoughts, but they no longer pull you in. You feel the emotions, but they don't consume or define you. You begin to live more deeply, more truthfully, and with intention. A mission starts from within, not through action, not through speech, not through leading others. It begins in silence, in discipline, in the hours no one else sees. If you're unable to lead yourself, you're not prepared to guide anyone else. Before trying to heal the world, steady your own mind. Before chasing truth, let go of illusion. Everything around you is a reflection of what lives inside you. That is a law that never bends. If your thoughts are scattered, so will be your life. If your inner world is noisy, your direction will be unclear. Inner clarity is a solid ground beneath your feet.